This is my friend Dean Dempsey, and Dean, besides being a guy who can fix anything, I literally mean to fix anything. He's fixed our he's fixed a variety of things at the office. By the way, his wife is one of my bosses. But Dean is a Native American activist from the Navajo Nation, the largest full-blooded Native American tribe in the world. He's an
Wow.
Arizona native from the Oak Springs community and the father of three children, a girl and two boys. In his free time, he enjoys fishing, hiking, and time with his family. He moved to Illinois in 2007, and he and Pam and the kids all live over in Danville. But he covers, he's a technician who covers what multi-county area dean, I think, in the area, and we'll if you guys would mute yourselves so we don't interrupt the recording when he's speaking. Um, Dean, take it away, please.
Ja, ja, Dean Dempsey Shaki Anin Shle. Twitter Genie A Bush's Chin. This is our proper way of introducing ourselves in Navajo. Um, I said good morning, and my name is Dean Dempsey, and I am Towering House, born for the Bitter Water Clan, and I was born and raised on the reservation. Um, I um, been living in Danville for a while, and it's my wife's fault. She forced me to move here. But uh, this past summer, my family and I are we're having a family meeting or just talking, and we basically just said how are our relatives doing. How we asked my sister who lives still on the reservation where my grandmother lives, which is it's called Oak Springs, Arizona, about maybe 30 miles west of Gallup, New Mexico. And we found out that my uncle has been delivering water to different families, and these are families that I grew up with. And when I when I last seen them, I was in high school, and they were fairly well off, or they were, a happy family, and they had jobs and they were thriving. Um, so uh, my uncle told us that he visited a few of our relatives and that um, they were destitute. They didn't have a car, or they didn't have a way of getting water. And when I was raised, um, we hauled water from a well that was drilled by the Navajo Nation. And keep in mind, Navajo Nation is about the size of Connecticut, or I'm sorry, North. Yeah, I think it was Connecticut. Anyway, it covers the three states: New Mexico, Arizona, and Colorado, or not Colorado, Utah. And so there are about. Let me start this. Sorry. Um, and water is a basic human right, and uh, a lot of the people at home don't have running water. When I was growing up, even today, where my sister lives, where I call home, um, we don't um, still have running water. We have a tank in the ground that is pumped up, so we haul water from a artesian well. We have a huge water um, trailer that we fill up, and we dump that into the tank in the ground, and we use that. There's a water pump there that pumps water into the house, and so that's how my sisters or my family when we're there. That's how we um, get our water. And this 250,000 members. Um, that is, I can say maybe like a little more than half live on the reservation. The other are off the reservation uh, just because infrastructure is really poor on the reservation. And this is due to um, several reasons. Um, First and foremost is government control. The government, not until recently, like the 60s and the 70s, we had no rights. Reservation is basically a concentration camp. So um, on this concentration camp, you have to have permission to go anywhere. Uh, you had to have permission to use your money. Um, for instance, my grandmother was a cattle woman. She bought one cow and she grew it into about 600 head of cattle. And every time she sold her calves or her yearlings in the fall, then that money went into a holding account uh, f- at the BIA. And every time she needed money to vaccinate or to uh, brand or whatever she needed for her cattle, she had to ask permission. She had to write a letter. She didn't write anything, so she had um, my uncles or my aunts write a letter to the superintendent of the BIA and ask for money. And majority of the time, she had to ask several times, and they would tell her, "Well, I don't think you need this money, so you're not going to get it." And even today, I mean, if uh, if there are people who ask for money for different reasons from the U.S. government for funding, for health reasons, or for water, electricity, um, and majority of the time, the congressman or the senator uh, is narrow-minded, and they would say, "Well, I don't think you Indians have enough knowledge to um, use this money, or there's this is too much money for you to use or control." So sometimes they're denied. Um, the most recent news I heard about that was in 2005, 2006, something like that. There was a tribal lawyer asking for health care assistance and more money for the hospital on the reservation. And when he saw that there was a Navajo member who was the president and or who was the head of the um, funding, then they didn't think he was knowledgeable enough to handle that much money. So anyway, the hence that's where the infrastructure falls apart. Money is allocated to the tribe, and they try to and they only give so much money. So when the reservation, it's a very rural area. So when they start laying pipe, they only have so much money to use toward infrastructure. And when it's coming up to a house, it usually falls. For an instant, my one of my aunt lives um, 500 feet from a water pipe, and it's been 15 years. That water pipe's just 500 feet away, but the tribe doesn't have the money to make that, or 500 feet away, and doesn't have that money to make it from that pipe to her house. So she's been, and she's close to the highway or to the road. And so, and a lot of people just live um, without running water. A, you know, Here in Illinois, our usage of water is about 100 gallons a day for showering, water or water usage, cooking, and but back at home it's um, less than a gallon or a gallon a day. Um, my aunt, she recently was talking with my sisters, and she said she lives on those 5 gallon jugs of water that you buy at Walmart or at a grocery store. So every 2 weeks, or when she has enough money and has means to get to a grocery store, then she buys those two five gallon jugs of water and she takes it home, and that's what she lives on. And so, and a lot of our military, the Navajo code talkers, which a lot of them have passed, and the more recent warriors that we have, some of them um, are in the same boat. I mean, if they have PSD, or they've been hurt, and they go home, and uh, a lot of them are destitute, and a lot of them don't have the means to haul water or to get water in any way. And so the government still has a stronghold on things that need to be done on the reservation, and it's very hard to get anything done, even replacing a window in your house. I met a lot of people, and they're like, "Why are you guys so poor?" And these are the reasons. We were one of the uh, like my grandmother, for instance. She was a very very good cattle woman. Her cattles were healthy, and um, but her counterpart um, off the reservation, I don't always complained about her, and to the to the to the man who, or the company who bought the cattle, because she would get top dollar. She kept her cattle really healthy, and so when she sold it, she got top dollar, and her counterpart didn't, because he didn't keep up with his cattle. So just instances like that is all over the reservation. So these men got together and complained, like, they're using too many resources, or their cattle's diseased, or they just told lies. So the government came in, and what they did was, after the Navajo Long Walk, which is, they forced us to travel 500 miles to Bosco Redondo in New Mexico, to that concentration camp. And when they released us, they gave us a piece of paper saying you can have two horses, a mule, five head of sheep, and five head of cattle. So, and each person who left the concentration camp to come to the reservation to another concentration camp had this piece of paper. And so the government came in and said, "Where's that paper we gave to you when you left the Bosco Redondo?" And so people showed those pictures, and my grandmother, or the form they gave, and they go, "You have too many." So they put all the cattle and all the sheep. She had like 600 head of sheep also, and she had like 20 horses. And so they came and shot all of them in the corral, and just pulled out, I guess, the worst of the animals the lame horse or the sick sheep or the cow that wasn't had some kind of disease or something. So they pulled those out of the way and shot the rest and left them in the fence. And so you know uh, the cleanup was horrific. And after that, my grandmother didn't ever uh, grow her cattle again or her sheep. And they grew a little bit, but she kept it at a minimum. So anyway, just a control like that um, makes the reservation a third world country. I mean, as Native people for Sioux or for Comanche or for the Iroquois Nation, who the Five Nations gave gave us the Constitution. We are under Indian law. This is Indian law. The Constitution is Indian law. Um, and so, um, we weren't according to the government. Now we're still enemy of the state or enemy of the government. There are different articles that say we are still enemy. Um, we are we are still looked to be annihilated. We are still in the process of being um, killed off. Just like that, the grazing paper is called. That um, um, every time it's broken down, so it becomes less and less. Like if the parent who had it gives it to her children, and they have five children or six children, it's split up. So it'll go down to zero one day. Uh, and also with the land, um, we can't do anything with the land. It's not ours, it's the government's. We can't improve on it. We can't really um, grow, have a real farm. Um, when I was younger, my grandmother and her sister had these huge cornfields, and it would be tons of corn and vegetables. It was awesome. I love going home. I would sneak into my aunt's. She grew the best watermelon. The best watermelon. It was so sweet. I sneak into her garden or her field, and me and my cousin would sit there and crack open these watermelons, and they're so juicy, and or honeydews, and they weren't ripe. It was before we had to go to school, so it wasn't time to pick, but they were really great. They were awesome. They were sweet, and we'd be sitting there stuffing our face, and then we hear a stick flying by our heads, and my grandmother would be chasing us out with sticks, like "Don't be eating my fruit, my vegetables," and they're not ready. And so we'd be running, and sometimes she hit us, and sometimes she didn't. We got away sometimes, and other times we didn't. So you know, the people know the land, and they can work it to where uh, they can survive. But with generations losing that knowledge, it's harder for people to sustain. Um, and that is the plan of the United States government. They take away our animals, they take away our food, they take away our knowledge. Uh, I was raised on government food. My grandmother used to go and get government food, and but she still taught, how to hunt. My grandfather taught how to corral a deer in the woods, and there's some knowledge that they still uh, gave us. Um, and hopefully, I can give those to my kids. Um, so with that, we my brother and my sisters and I have found out that 80% of our relatives in our community have no running water. I mean, we know they have no running water, but we didn't realize when we were younger, we saw them as strong individuals. And time has gone by and they gotten older, and the kids have left to try to make money off the reservation, moving to Phoenix or Flagstaff, and nearby towns to make money. And we started this GoFundMe to buy a water truck so we can haul water to people. And my uncle was informing us that a lot of a lot of the families don't have any containers to hold water. So a lot of them he would deliver water to them, and when he showed up, they would bring out like the juicy juice bottle, like the gallon um, plastic bottles you buy from the store, or the little grapefruit juice, or the pickle jar, the gallon pickle jar. They would bring those out, and he would fill those up for them, and or the Lowe's buckets. They would use those as water containers. So if you can see down here on this, are you able to see this map? That's basically the reservation, and Oak Springs is on the bottom right between Hawk and above Hawk. It's a little red dot. This is Oak Springs. That's where I'm from, and what's that, I-70, I-60. I think it's I-60 runs right where it says Gallup. It runs across Gallup and runs down uh, toward Flagstaff. You see all the way on the right left hand side. This is Flagstaff, and the right hand side's Gallup. So if you make a straight line across, that's where the highway runs. So we're so close to the highway that we still don't. A lot of the families don't have water. Don't We don't have the infrastructure, and people have been waiting and waiting. And I was in high school before my grandmother got electricity, and there are families, our relatives near us, who have electricity, but they don't have the means to pay for it, so they still live without electricity, and they live without water. And a lot don't have the means to go to the store every day. Um, so just recently, my uncle uh, should die, which is I think in English it's like I don't know what it would be translated in English, but it's my grandmother's uncle's son. So anyway, he reached out to my sister and said, and he's a vet, a Vietnam vet, and um, his wife and his son just died of COVID, and um, so it's him and his daughter-in-law and his three grandchildren, and he asked for help because he heard that we're collecting food and collecting supplies to help people in the community. And he reached out to her and said, and told her what he needed, and she delivered um, as much food as she could. And when she got there, the the daughter and my uncle were they just broke down in tears and were like, it's so wonderful. We haven't eaten in days, and she's trying to work, but she's not making enough money to feed the whole family and to because he needs his medical needs. So anyway, that's the size of the reservation, and the red highlights are where there are no water, just because it's a huge reservation and it's very, very remote. A lot of these towns are basically just a gas station and a school. And a lot of these areas are very remote. The roads to them are very rough and dirt roads. Even to our house, um, just because I live out here and my brothers are also off the reservation. We send money to my sisters to pay someone to bring gravel and keep the house maintenance. So we feel like we've been very fortunate because my parents have always integrated education. You need education, and those are the reasons my father and my mother, um, when the time they would round up Indian kids and at that time it was kill the Indian, save the child. And my father used to say, you have to know your enemies to survive in this world. So he went to school in Chamawa, Oregon, and that's where he met my mother at this boarding school. And so we always tell my dad he saved mom or dad, you saved mom because she almost became a nun. She um, was a nanny for a Catholic family, and that's how she made her money and would send it back to her mom, and that's how she bought her cow, and that's how she bought her grain and vaccinations for her cattle was
Dean,
from.
Dean,
Yes.
I don't mean to rush you. We've only got about 10 minutes left,
Oh, okay.
I, and I really want to find out about your GoFundMe project and what people can do to help.
Yeah. So okay. Sorry. These are different people or organization on the reservation who are trying to get this infrastructure moving forward. This is all these people are trying to get infrastructure on the reservation, but it's so hard that they keep running into different obstacles, mainly coming from the government. And they have little water spigots. If you can see that little picture, they have little water spigots. It's called chapter houses, which is like a local government, uh, and people go there to fill water, but the chapter house isn't always open. They are funded by the government too, and so if they have no money, the building's not open, and this is under lock and key. And so when you go to the chapter house, there is usually nobody there, and so hence we have to haul water from artesian wells. And this is our GoFundMe page. You're not going to hear any audio or anything, but this is basically how Pam and I started this GoFundMe. We wanted to purchase a water truck for my uncle so he can go around, because what he was using was his own vehicle to deliver water, and he had a small 200-gallon tank. And so um, he had to make several trips, and he couldn't get to everyone. Sometime it took him a month to get to different people to home. So sometimes people were without water for a month. And this is the artesian well. You have to bring your own stopper to plug up the well so it would flow down. It would back up and flow into that spigot there, or the line that goes out, and you would fill up your barrel with the hose that supplied. And a lot of these are becoming unusable just because the government, when they mined for uranium, or they had toxic spills, like in Gallup, they had a huge toxic spill there, so that flowed into a water table, and so that water there is unusable. And these are one of the few areas you can get water that is still drinkable. And uh, oh, sorry. So, and I got a box truck that was delivered or donated to us by my very good friend that I went to college with, and he owns a. We both went to DeVry, and he changed his um, profession to selling ice cream, and that's the box truck he donated to us. And these are some of the barrels that we have purchased. We don't have a lot of money, and we're trying to get more, just so, like this big square water tank here are for larger families that have a lot of kids, and try to get them more water so they can at least bathe once a week. And so, um, and these are other barrels that, like I said, when sometimes the families just use little 1 gallon jugs. And this is on the right hand side is my aunt in the purple, and she she used to have a huge flock of sheep, and now it's just her and her cat, she said, and she can't go out because of COVID. And so she just relies on her relatives to bring her food. And so we got gift cards to give to them. Some people donated gift cards, and uh, we're still trying to raise more funds to get food and mainly water. And most houses are like that, a traditional hogan, Howan, it's called Howan.
Hey, Dean, I
Um,
don't want to cut in, but I know we've only got a couple minutes left. I want to make sure if there's any questions or anything like that. Do you have a screen that gives kind of what the GoFundMe page is on or anything
uh,
like that?
that GoFundMe has closed because we got the water truck, but
Oh, okay.
there's a Facebook. I don't have that on here. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay,
Um,
Dean. You can share it with me, and I'll get it posted to our group.
okay, and yeah, that there's going to be a donation button there on the Facebook. It's called Ke. Ke is in Navajo relatives. Ke, um, for a stable community, and so that's the
Cool.
Facebook we're using. And so thank you, Daryl, and thank you everyone for listening to what I had to say. Sometimes long-winded, and I'm sorry, but
That's okay.
um,
That's okay, Dean.
I really hope, and my family really hopes that you guys can help us. And you know, in Navajo, Balaashtai is what we're called as it's human beings, the people with 5 fingers. And so we hope we really hope that you can help us, and I appreciate you listening to what I have to say, and
Thank you.
I appreciate your kindness and your generosity, and just your time this morning is very awesome that you guys had to listen to me. Thank you.
Would you mind hanging around for a few moments? I'm going to go ahead and close the meeting, and then maybe if there are folks that want to ask questions, that you wouldn't mind hanging out for a few more minutes to answer questions.
Yeah, no, I don't mind.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dean.
Let me go ahead and actually close this meeting, and we'll go back to kind of what we've got going on coming forward here. Give me just a second. So that was Dean talking with us. No meeting for next week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. December 3rd, Eddie is going to bring us Susan Zola. So she's going to be speaking on the 3rd, so that's great. We'll look forward to that. Paul, if you could do the 4-way test for us.
Yes, a 4-way test. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And is it fun?
All right. Thank you, Rotarians. You have a great day. And thank you, Dean. If you don't mind staying for a few more minutes, that would be great.
Nope.